Oh, the intro didn't come on. I must have turned it off. That's why I look so surprised. Okay.
No, I did think that on the last show because the intro didn't come on the last show.
I think, or maybe it didn't. All right. Anyway, look, boxing this week 55. I'm not on the ball. I'm not on the ball. Boxing this week 55. We have probably got too much to go through, so I'm going to really quickly do a weekly roundup, and I'm kind of cutting certain topics out. But in all honesty, they're just not as important as other things. So Wilder has returned. We have covered that. We did a day after show on the Jake Paul event, but we cover the Wilder event as well. Ultimately, not that impressive. We've also got a clip that Paolo has done. So if you want to go check out our opinion on it, please do. Jake Paul beat Chavez Jr. We are not going to cover that anymore. We are done with it. We have done enough Jake Paul stuff. We have got one thing we're going to talk about, but it's really to do with the rankings today because I think it's a disgrace. Chavez Jr. is being deported. So this has come out about...
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, so I thought I'd get your live reaction to this. So I'm going to read the statement whilst we're here very quickly from the Ring magazine. So official statement. Julio César Chávez Jr. has been arrested by ICE, and is being processed for expedited deportation from the USA days after his defeat to Jake Paul. Department of Homeland Security has announced Chavez is a Mexican citizen who has an active arrest warrant in Mexico for his involvement in organized crime and trafficking firearms, ammunition, and explosives. Chavez is also believed to be an affiliate of the Sinaloa cartel, a designated foreign terrorist organization. So, probably not going to hear from him too much often. Hello, Nick, the weekly show. Good to see you. Hope you have been well.
Before you carry on with the weekly show, because I am not letting you get away with this, can we talk about your shirt? The shirt on that reel, if anyone saw it, let's talk about that shirt before we start. More good evening or good afternoon, Nick.
Unfortunately, I've put the shirt away. I think it's in the wash.
Absolutely diabolical.
No.
I'm gonna be honest with you. We're letting the viewers decide. The short goes out. If you lot didn't see, go back on our most recent short where Connor talks. He ranks the fighters A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah, not very
whatever.
well. Sadly.
So, yeah, but that's a hard thing to do. That aside, have a look at the shirt he's wearing in it. Absolutely. I thought Connor was going on a stag do. I'll be real with you.
I fly helicopters in Barbados. That's why.
You look like a dodgy tourist off Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
It's not my best look. So Chavez Jr. probably not going to hear from him for a pretty long time, it seems. And Anthony Yard is getting his third shot at the world title against David Benavidez in November.
Winnable
for
fight.
The WBC. Really good fight. Don't know how that's going to go down. And I think so. It's at his weight. Benavidez coming up. I don't think he will win it.
You can't hear any background noise, can you?
No. You're all good. You're all good. So I don't know how that fight's going to go. But today we're not really going to talk about it. We've got too much to talk about. That's not really a priority. Let's go straight to Zurdo because he won on the weekend against Dorticos in actually should have been a hard fight. Opetaia has to be next. We have discussed this we've said this for a long time now. We said it after Zurdo beat William Smith. We said it after Zurdo had his first fight at light heavyweight. Opetaia is the only fight that makes sense. Surely they both fought within about a month of each other now. That happens. And I'm guessing on the November card. We've already got Yard and Benavidez announced. Why not have the headline?
That November card, is that Beterbiev and Bivol?
Could well be. They haven't really announced any of it. They've just said this fight's happening.
Beterbiev and Bivol, Yard, Benavidez, Opetaia, Zurdo. That is 3 great fights already. Yeah. You're building a card up. Come on, man.
Yeah. Proper card.
But that makes sense. It just needs to happen. Full stop. No messing about. The cruiserweight division needs that fight. Yeah, it does.
It does. It's already a little bit overdue. We don't want to get into a point where we're actually looking at it as a has-been and like one 100%. Of them's now losing and all the rest of it.
100%.
I will say I think Opetaia is going to beat him. Zurdo gets hit far too much.
Zurdo gets hit too much, yes, but Opetaia also doesn't look invincible against guys very good boxers. So by that, I'm saying he's looked very good against some boxers to the point we're saying, who the hell is going to beat Opetaia? But then I've watched him in other fights, and he's won the fights, but he's been through a war. Bradis recently. Bradis took him to deep waters, and made him look very, very human in that fight.
Yeah.
So for me, for that reason, I think it'd be a good fight. I would say that Opetaia still wins, probably on points, purely because he's going to be quicker. He might struggle to knock him out, though. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure he will knock him out, but he's got more power than Billum Smith, who didn't necessarily hurt Zurdo, but troubled him because he could hit him. More power than him, and Dorticos looked a little old on the weekend. He looked like he is just over that hill now. Dorticos never been elite. Oh no, I guess he has been elite, not world class, but still carry power. I mean, his record shows 25 knockouts and 20 odd wins. So
a tough fight.
Yeah. But this is the I could also really easily see Zurdo win. That's why we need to have that fight. Yeah, that's simple as. Right. We'll talk about this very quickly, and then this is actually the last time we'll talk about Jake Paul for a very long time, I imagine.
I don't even want to talk about him. Ban him.
And this is really more about the WBA. Why is Jake Paul number 14 in the world, Paolo?
Because it's jokes. It's jokes. Yeah. I'm not even getting annoyed, because if I get annoyed about start talking about it, I want to start smashing shit up. No, I'm being honest with you. Like, I'm gonna start smashing shit up.
Yeah.
So WBA should not be ranking Jake Paul, full stop. Yeah. But they are. They are just as bad, if not, they're taking the same drugs that Mauricio Sulaiman takes.
Yeah,
so,
no, definitely.
That's all I got to say on it.
It's a bad look for the sport. And I think we touched on this very briefly. But last weekend, the UFC had like an all-time moment. And I know that we always compare.
Yeah.
Nick's made a good point.
I can't see it. Oh, there we go.
Smash some shit up, Paolo.
It's true, Nick. I did say that. I should smash some shit up. But I'll be honest. I did actually. You know what? These guys. Okay, I'm going to leave it like this, yeah? I do want to smash some shit up. All is ranked. I did say that. But hear me out for a second, Nick. Right now, we've got the WBC and the WBA ran by old men. We test fighters for drugs. We need to start testing these guys for drugs that run the organizations. And then whilst we're at it, throw them out. Overthrow them. You know when you see like bad governments get overthrown in countries?
Yeah.
They just get overthrown. Taken to wherever it may be, the president or prime minister's house of whatever country it is. They go in there and they overthrow the prime minister. They need to overthrow the WBA and WBC and just tie them to a boat and throw them away.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's ridiculous. You've got cruiserweights that aren't ranked or are ranked now below who have done so much more. Don't get me wrong. This is the main issue with Jake Paul is the way he talks, right? But these guys are allowing him to not just talk like that, but get in the position. And now, Gilberto Ramirez has a chance to make probably as much money fighting Jake Paul. He's not going to get offered that fight. I don't believe for a second that Jake Paul's going to.
I think I would. I'll be honest with you, Gilbert Ramirez. Here's the problem. Yeah, can go and fight Jai Opetaia and earn $2 million. Or he could, or $1 million, if that, because let's be honest, cruiserweights are not getting paid as much as we think. I reckon it'll be about, for a unification back, probably be about maybe $2 million. Double or triple that with Jake Paul, and a lot of fighters are going to say, yes, this is the problem.
Yeah, it's basically in his head, he's making minimum about $5 million, and what,
Because
99.9% chance he's going to win that fight.
Because remember as well, when we talk about what fighters' earnings are, people need to remember if the fighter's getting paid $2 million, they don't walk away with $2 million. If this is an American show, or Zurdo and Opetaia, unless that fight is in Saudi Arabia, potentially looking at tax, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what the tax brackets are like in America. Nick might be able to assist on that in the comments. But $2 million, yeah. So it gets some sort of tax on that, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you've got to pay coaches 5 or 10%, depending on what you've agreed with them. Then you've got to pay your nutritionist. You've got to pay so you don't walk out with $2 million. So Zurdo can make $5 million and walk away with $3 million, maybe, or $4 million, depending on what deal he's got with his, rather than walk away with short of $2 million, maybe 1.5. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a big difference.
Yeah, Nick's made a good point. I think this is my worry as well. Is that it's kind of fair. If I'm Zurdo, I'm fighting Paul for the money, and then Opetaia after that. I would say many people saying that they wouldn't are liars. It's true. Because it's a win. It's literally in Zurdo's mind. It is no loss in that situation because he's going to beat Jake Paul and he's going to make more money doing it than if he fights Opetaia.
What if Jake Paul beats Zurdo though?
Then I don't think we can ever do a boxing show ever again because I don't understand it. No, because at that point, I don't understand sport. We have to move to UFC or football. We have to go something else. We have to start again because at that point, boxing doesn't make sense to me. But it won't happen anyway. Jake Paul's not one. I don't think Jake Paul will fight Zurdo. I don't think he's actually that stupid. He's not going to fight Zurdo next. And if he does, he's not beating him, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Look, the rankings are a joke. The fact they're allowing someone who should not be able to get in that position, but more importantly, through safety reasons, shouldn't be there. But also, they're allowing it just for the fact they get massive sanction fees out of that fight, and for the one belt, I mean, they have to split it as well. Then we aren't a boxing show. The man will spit my water out. Yeah, fair enough. Right. Okay. Now, real sport, real boxing is. Oh, where do we want to go? We'll give Jake Paul some praise. We'll go for this one first. We've got the greatest female card of all time this weekend, this Friday.
That's a big fact.
Serrano Taylor 3. Chantel Cameron's back. Baumgardner's back.
Friday's a weird day to do it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not massive.
Not a massive fan of the Friday fights. I'm not a massive fan. Nick, you are America. Are you in America? Eastern time? I think you said to me the other day.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. What do you think of these Friday shows? Because I don't know what it's like for you, but in the UK, Fridays is like, it's just not like, for me, weekend is a weekend. Fridays people work. Then they've got to go home. No one's got time to get home and then go back out in the evening to watch a fight. It's got to happen on a Saturday, in my opinion, or a bank holiday, or national holiday in the sense of if it's America. Sorry, carry on. Yeah, but Friday, weird.
I was just going to go through. So we've got Tam Thewalt and Mary Casamassa, who I don't know much about Mary. I've heard good things about Tam.
Yeah.
Never watched Mary before. I've watched Tam, I think as an amateur, actually. I think I've seen her on YouTube as an amateur. Ramla Ali, who obviously massive prospect, and then it kind of went a little wrong, but she's under new management, new promotion, blah, blah, should be all right. Chantel Cameron then fights the WBC interim world title, or the fights to defend it. All right, and then we've got a lot. So let's go through. Chernica Johnson versus Sharetta Metcalf for the IBF World Bantam, WBC World Bantam, WO World Bantam. Savannah Marshall versus Shadesha Green for the IBF World Super Middle and WBO World Super Middle. There's more than likely the WBA for the Chernica Johnson fight and for the next fights as well. Baumgardner versus Miranda. That's a really good fight. That's potentially, other than the sort of sure thing of Taylor and Serrano, the best fight on there. Which is the IBF World Super Feather, IBO, WBC and WBO, and I believe WBA Super Feather titles. Ellie Scotney versus Yamalith Mercado. Another great fight, although I think Scotney should win. which is the IBF World Super Bantam, WBC, WO, and WA Super Bantam. And then you've got Taylor Serrano for all the belts in their trilogy. I mean,
not really.
I don't know how many. Well, it was their third fight.
Nah,
I don't know how many. I don't know how many world titles I've just read out, but it is absolutely mental.
For women's boxing, a fantastic night. Yeah?
Yes,
fantastic night. But we are watching the product of money on the main card. Do you want to know why? Because the product of money is the only reason you could justify being 2-0 down and you go and fight a third time. Usyk and Fury we're going to go on to that probably, but it's the same thing over there. And I know we will talk about that, so I won't say too much on it. But Usyk and Fury, 2-0 down, 2-zip down is mental. That's all I've got to say. So anyway, Taylor to get the win. So and she's going to win by points.
Can Amanda Serrano finally beat Katie Taylor? You're saying no.
No.
Okay. I actually think it could happen.
I ain't seen Serrano. Serrano's not done anything different over the last two fights. She doesn't change. She hasn't adapted. She hasn't gotten better. She stayed the same. Katie Taylor has stayed the same. Both of them staying the same. Katie Taylor is just a bit better.
Agreed. The reason that I'm going with Serrano is I've heard a rumor, and it is only a rumor, so therefore this could be complete rubbish, that the ring is going to be a little bit bigger than last time. If the ring's a bit bigger and Serrano can do a bit more longer range fighting, I think Serrano will win, and she might actually do it in a bit of a better fashion. Katie Taylor's best attribute is infighting. That's what she does. That's why she gets criticised for using her head.
But true. And Serrano might win more rounds. All that's going to do is Katie Taylor will just stick on Serrano and she will not get off of her. And she'll just make it's in a bigger ring. It's not going to make a difference. Katie Taylor's still going to press on her and she's going to just stay close to her and make it a different fight. All you've got to do is cancel out that range. She gets close to her. She's able to cancel that range out and she's able to fight on the inside. It's the same fight. Small ring, big ring. When Katie Taylor wins again, I just want to see what Serrano's excuse is going to be next.
What will it be? Judging, referee?
No, we've used judging. We've used the refereeing already. We've used head clashes.
Yeah. I don't know. There's not a lot left.
Yeah. But I don't think a big ring makes a difference. You guys let us know what you think in the comments, but I really don't, especially when you've got... It's like, say, you know what it's like? Katie Taylor, is a very aggressive fighter, but she comes forward, and yes, sometimes she's a bit loose with the head, and she can cause cuts, etc. Yeah, but the only thing I will say is you give, and I'm not comparing them as fighters, but it's a very valid point. Similar style in terms of how aggressive they are. You put Mike Tyson prime in the ring with somebody, big or small, does that ring size matter if Mike Tyson's in the ring?
I think so, if I'm honest. You put him in a 17-foot ring with Muhammad Ali, I think he knocks Muhammad Ali out. You put him in a 24-foot ring with Muhammad Ali, I think Muhammad Ali jabs his head off.
I'm talking about realistic fights from what the time that Mike Tyson was boxing in, and you're talking about his absolute prime when he become unified, when he become youngest heavyweight champion. Because Mike Tyson career-wise is a bit up and down. I'm talking about 20-year-old Mike Tyson. The way he used to close the distance with fighters is a point I'm trying to make. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. But I think we were talking about not the way that Taylor and the reason this fight is so good and will always be good. And I know you don't think they should have a third fight, but the reason I think they should is you're talking two of the best female fighters of this generation, but also two of the best female fighters that have ever walked the planet, right? So the fact they're in the same weight division, they are. The fact that
I'm not disagreeing with that, but go on, carry on. I'll let you finish.
The fact they're in the same weight division and roughly-ish, sort of the same age and the same point of their career. Means that we can get these three fights, but it also means, look, in the smaller ring, Taylor, I think, beats Serrano 10 out of 10 times. You give Serrano a little bit more, which I'm not saying they should either, by the way, because I don't think that's necessarily fair. I don't actually like when the ring sizes get changed. I think, to be honest, it should be a fixed size and you work with what you got, because otherwise you get massive advantages if you're certain fighters. But I think you give Serrano an extra 2 foot each side. I think she'll be able to get out of the way.
Fair enough.
An aging Taylor might not be able to cut that ring off. Equally, I might eat my own words. And also, this might not even be happening, so this might be pointless. But if the ring size is the same, Taylor will do the same. If it's a bit bigger, Serrano, I think, will manage her.
Okay.
But it'll be close.
I'm going to go back to reference to one of your points you said about them being the greatest two, or a greatest two female boxers, probably. Yes, I agree. However, I've got one thing to say, Connor. Yeah. Beterbiev and Bivol's happening this year. Yes, 1-1 at the moment. Yeah, they're going to fight again. Whoever wins that, because they're the two best light heavyweights. Should we just see them fight 5 or 6 times? Take away being a boxing fan, would it make sense to fight 5 or 6 times? Take away that you can watch them because you enjoy watching them. Does it make sense?
It doesn't make sense. It makes sense.
Sense?
One more fight. Does
it make sense? Does it make sense for Fury and Usyk 3?
No, it doesn't.
So it's the same thing.
But there's a difference
it
for
doesn't
me.
Make sense.
There's a difference. The difference is the third best in the division has already fought Katie Taylor. And I agree with what you're about to say. Chantel Cameron should get her trilogy with Katie Taylor. Absolutely. But there is no other... Okay, hold on. Let's look at it factually, all right? Let's look at it from a money side.
Would you watch Javante Davis and Shakur Stevenson 4 times?
I would watch it the first time and then see what I think after. But look, my point is, we're talking money, right? We're trying to promote the women's sport.
Yeah.
Do you think this card can't happen, right? You can't have all these female fighters.
No, you can.
No, you can't have them, all these female fighters, selling out Madison Square Garden if you don't have Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano as the main event.
Jake Paul needs to get Turkey Al-Sheikh involved, and he will. It's really that simple.
But you're not selling out Madison Square Gardens if you don't have Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano.
No problem. No problem. But what I'm trying to say to you is, Jake Paul, isn't selling Madison Square Garden out. Give Turkey that card. I promise you, he could have Serrano and Taylor fighting on the card, separately. Saudi, Riyadh season, sell out Madison Square Garden.
But then they're not doing an all-female card.
If it makes sense commercially, I think Turkey would. He's not stupid.
But that's what I'm saying. It won't. If it's not Taylor Serrano, it doesn't make sense.
He hasn't got involved with a proper female card yet. But I think if he did, it would make sense. My point I'm trying to get is who's bigger, Serrano or Taylor?
Taylor.
Okay, so Serrano needs Taylor more than Taylor needs Serrano.
Definitely.
Right. Okay. So Taylor can fight on this show and sell more tickets. Maybe, I don't know. Would she sell more tickets in Madison Square Garden? That's
Irish fan base in New York, I guess so.
Okay. So we're talking, a strong Irish fan base in New York will sell maybe a lot more tickets than Serrano, where New York's not necessarily a hometown or country for that matter. So Taylor's the A side. So she sells more tickets. So Taylor could have fought Chantel Cameron on a Madison Square Garden card.
No,
I'm being serious.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I just don't. I don't.
Obviously, Madison Square Garden wouldn't make sense. But you know what?
But this is what I'm saying. Because if you don't do it at Madison Square Garden, the gate revenue, the pay, you can't. This is going to be Jesus Christ, a pay-per-view card. And the gate from Madison Square Garden is going to cover all, I imagine, basically all, except maybe at the bottom of the card, of these women are getting a career high payday.
Can I?
Right?
100%. I'm all for that, by the way.
That doesn't happen if you take Serrano out of it.
I think
we don't talk about this for 10 minutes if you take Serrano out of it.
I think if Saudi are involved and it's UK-based, I think the fighters get paid well. We get to see a fight. And we don't watch Taylor and Serrano. Can you guys tell that I'm not interested in this fight? Really, I am. I will watch it. They're two of the best fighters, but I mean it in a way of like it doesn't. It means nothing. It means nothing. I'm just going to leave it there. Otherwise, I'll be talking all day.
Yeah, I agree that in like actual boxing sense, it should be Taylor Cameron. I agree with that. Serrano has lost twice, and I think.
One sec, Connor. Go carry on.
clearly lost the first one, and the second one was closer, but it wasn't that close. So I don't see really the point. But when you talk commercially, when you talk about a sport that needs to, when you talk about a side of a sport that needs to grow, and women's boxing does need to grow, and it's growing, those two can carry it so far. Claressa Shields can carry it so far, but Claressa Shields really needs to drop down in weight to do it because she needs to be fighting better names. When she fought Savannah Marshall, that was really kind of the epitome of female boxing at that point.
Listen, so what we're saying is to clarify.
So rude. I'm like, let's just call the show, man.
No, I'm joking. I tried.
I know.
What I'm saying to you is just to clarify to everyone, as long as everyone can accept that we are not doing this fight for legacy and it's for money, we're all here for Serrano and Katie Taylor, but this fight can't be for legacy. You can't be 2-0 down and tell me you're fighting for legacy. I'm not trying to hear it.
Yeah, okay. I'm not. All right, fine, fair.
It's money. It makes sense because I think they're getting about 7 or 8 million for this. Highest career paydays for Katie Taylor, Serrano. It makes a lot of sense commercially, but my legacy can't be my legacy if I'm 2-0 down.
True. Okay, true. Right. Talking of trilogies, this is a good segue into could Fury beat Usyk? I hate this. I actually hate this.
Would it be hypocrite? I'll be a hypocrite now if I don't say that this is a waste of time either. So I'm going to say that this is a waste of time. And
do you actually think it's a waste of time?
100%.
Yeah, okay.
100%. Yeah, but Connor, you see the rant I've just gone on, yeah? And I'm not downplaying the female card because me and you both know we recognize great female fighters. But
yeah,
I'm now going to give this. We're going to watch that fight Friday, and I might be surprised. I'm going to talk about this now. Usyk and Fury, 2-0 down, retired, comes out of retirement, not retired, is retired. Turkey Al-Sheikh, I tell you what, April, Wembley Stadium, date, venue confirmed, date confirmed, and fight confirmed. He's not even fought Dubois yet, Usyk.
No. Do you know what I find crazy about this? Is it confirmed? Like, I know I saw TNT Boxing do a thing.
Yeah, it's confirmed.
Fury's done a thing, but then I read a report about half an hour ago saying Usyk's team saying Usyk could be persuaded. So I don't think it's confirmed. I think they've just got a placeholder date, placeholder venue, and they've got a Fury that wants to fight because realistically, I don't want to be rude, but I will be. He will not get over that. He's never going to get over that. But the fact is, 9 out of 10 times Usyk beats Fury. And it actually will be at a point next year, if they do fight, where I'd want Fury to win just so that he could retire and not be upset with his career.
I don't think in any world Fury's ever beaten Usyk.
I don't really think so either. But I'm saying if it does happen, I'd want Fury to win just so that he could sail off into the sunset feeling complete. I don't think
he would retire, though. This is the thing.
That's the other problem.
I just think, listen, whatever the thing is, in terms of, you can talk about someone's mental, which is a very important thing. But you can't force people to do things. If he chooses to carry on fighting, we can't stop him. So that will tell time in itself. I think he is going to be one of them fighters where boxing, he doesn't leave boxing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, boxing's going to leave him.
Yeah. So, listen, at the end of the day, the fight shouldn't be happening. You're 2-0 down. I don't understand how Parker potentially isn't getting any sort of title shot. Joseph Parker, because I think he deserves it, be it the IBF.
Definitely.
Do you know what? Do you know why I'm not a fan of the unification title? The unification's great, but it means that you potentially will see those titles in action once or twice a year.
Yeah. It's the nice part about what's happened at light heavyweight, where they have actually vacated, and we've now got David Benavidez in a great fight against Anthony Yard.
Yeah,
and deservedly, Yard is at that level. Benavidez, we know, is at that level.
You're now going to watch four, but potentially 3 or 4, 2 or 3 light heavyweight title fights this year, next year, and that's because. But I do think that we are looking to move towards a one belt system now.
Yeah, well, we're getting more undisputed champions all the time.
I wouldn't be surprised if what's standing left is if Turkey Al-Sheikh, because there's rumors that Turkey Al-Sheikh wants to buy the WBC, WBA, IBF. He wants to own all of them. Yeah. Morally, I don't think these old men. I don't even think. You know what it is? I think it's not even about the money. I just think some of them don't want to give that power over. But I think if Turkey is able to get hold of every belt in division, I would be content with having belts because I think he'd make people defend them.
Yeah.
Whereas at the moment, we've got organizations who are playing politics and not defend and letting certain things slide. When we're talking about Opetaia not being able to defend his IBF title because against Ellis Zoro, was it Ellis Zoro? Yeah, and he got stripped to the IBF title. But in another breath, Pacquiao for 6 years hasn't fought. Comes back WBC, say there's a title shot. Like the disparities in it are mad. So in that sense. Yeah, in that sense, it's one of them. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what we could do, but I think, yeah, you're right. Heavyweight division's held hostage at the moment, in my opinion, but yeah.
It is. I personally don't think Usyk Fury 3 is going to happen anyway. I don't think anything's signed. I think Fury has just announced it because he says he's Turkey and him have had a conversation, probably the first time they've had a proper conversation since he lost. And I imagine Fury has said he'd come back for Usyk. And Turkey has said, do you know what? We'll try and make it happen. But the fact is, only 2 weeks ago, Usyk separated from his promoter, which is the guy he's been with since he turned pro.
Alex Krasnov?
Krasik, or yeah.
Alex Krasik.
But yeah.
They're not together now.
No, separated from him 2 weeks ago on mutual terms. So no issues or weird stuff, just mutually separate. For me, I think this is Usyk's last fight. I think Usyk will go to Wembley and have a big send-off. And whether that means a big send-off and he's going to pass the torch over to the young heavyweight of Daniel Dubois, who realistically, if that happens, Dubois is going to finish him, or if he's going to beat Daniel Dubois, become the first person ever to be 3-time undisputed unified, 2-time heavyweight undisputed unified, and then he's going to go into the sunset. I do not see a world Usyk fights Fury again.
I agree.
And this is the other thing. You got to think about it. Like, Ukraine is still at war, right? So Usyk has still got all this other stuff going on. Like, he can't really go home still. He did a 6-month training camp for Tyson Fury because their fight got delayed the first time. He finally gets in there with him. He beats him. He really, you could argue, knocked him out in round 9, or any other fighter in the world, and it would have been a knockout. He then goes, a month? And then it's announced that he's fighting him again, and he's almost straight into training. He's almost did a 12-month training camp, maybe 11-month training camp straight for Tyson Fury. And he beat him twice. And there's an argument that said that the second time he beat him almost worse because he outboxed him the whole time. Like, Fury is a fantastic fighter, but Fury doesn't have what it takes to beat Usyk. AJ doesn't have it. I genuinely believe Daniel Dubois does have it. It's just it might still be too early for Daniel Dubois. Because I think you have to be beyond your prime to beat Usyk. His boxing brain is superior to potentially anyone in boxing right now. And that includes Crawford, Inoue, Canelo. That's all of them. I don't think this fight's going to happen. I think Usyk retires in July. So I think this will be the last time we really speak of it, unless maybe they'll mention it at press conferences. But that is a trilogy that doesn't need to happen. That definitely doesn't need to happen. Let's talk about... let's go to this. Repeat or revenge, because this has now been announced. It was announced about 5 minutes after our show last week.
Do you know what this is? I feel like this week... Okay, I'm going to... For context, going to take Serrano and Taylor out of this comparison because the fight is, it's happening on Friday. But I feel like we are now leading on from that, talking about fights that no one wants to watch, and this is one of them. Yeah,
I agree.
Again,
I'm in the party of I don't want to see this, but
it's very negative the show this week. But
a little bit.
We spoke about this beforehand. And we said that he nearly killed himself to make the weight. His dad said that he nearly died afterwards in hospital. I don't understand how much sense this makes. From what I understand, it's the same rules, same weight, same rehydration clauses.
Yep.
What that means is that he will have to follow the same rules for the other as previous. No leeway being given for the second fight, despite him being the winner. This is the contract that he signed. However, what also makes it interesting, Connor, just for the people to know, is I think Chris Eubank is no longer with Boxer.
No, they've done a statement saying
they have come out and said that Boxer do not represent us for this fight. What the hell does that mean?
Okay.
Because Eddie Hearn and Ben Shalom had a back and forth. Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith, all of them got a text from Eubank's team to say that Boxer do not represent me.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay.
So I'm not sure what's going on there. But also, what makes this a bit of a mess, I think you'd agree, Connor, is Boxer currently don't have a TV deal.
No, they don't. They don't have a broadcast. I can't remember when their Sky contract runs out, but it's expiring. They still don't have a new one. I mean, realistically, I think they're going to end up on DAZN. Top Rank will end up on DAZN, but they're going to get a really shit deal. This is very off topic. Top Rank, as in really Bob Arum, have completely pissed off ESPN. So ESPN have dropped them. I don't know when that takes place. Again, they've obviously got contracts. They can't drop them as in just completely suspend them unless they've got grounds to. And I don't think insulting them or whatever does. But realistically, it means Top Rank are now going to have to go for the next thing. And that could be Peacock. But Peacock are already kind of associated with Sky, and that's kind of
so Peacock is associated with Boxer. Peacock's separate.
Exactly, yeah, they are. But I don't. But Peacock's
they're not
massive.
Strong broadcaster enough.
It's not providing enough money for Boxer to sustain what they're currently doing.
Peacock's the American streaming service, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where Boxer put their fights in America. So it looks to me pretty simply that either one of them's going to get a huge deal with like Amazon, Netflix, or someone, and they're going to go exclusive, but they can't really do that completely exclusive because of Saudi Riyadh season and their ties to DAZN, or they're going to go to DAZN and say, we want to broadcast with you, or we want you to broadcast us, in which case DAZN can now start saying, all right, and lowball them because you need us, not the other way around. So we'll see how that goes. But with this fight, I think one key thing that we've not actually mentioned yet is the sauna. Eubank could not make weight before. He did eventually, but he still had to pay $500,000, and he used the sauna.
He paid a fine for that.
He will not be allowed to. Yeah, but he still won't be allowed to do it again.
Yeah, but he wasn't allowed last time, and he paid a fine. He'll use a sauna again and pay a fine. I think Eddie Hearn explained it perfectly. Yeah, Eddie Hearn come out and said that the problem with the British Board of Boxing Control is they're very old-fashioned in the way that they have their rules about cutting weight. So he's like, fighters do use this stuff now to cut weight. We see it in the UFC. We see it in other sports. It's a normal thing. It's not like an advanced way of cutting weight. Fuck me. You see like UFC fighters laying in towels on the floor. Darren Till went blind for 12 hours weight cutting. Like it is unfortunately with today's sports science and everything else, probably one way of doing it. I've heard, and you might tell me I'm wrong, Connor, but I've heard he got fined for that, got slapped on the wrist. I'm thinking that Chris Eubank does it again and just pays a fine if he gets caught. And like Hearn come out and said he just has to go in there, say, yeah, pay the fine. Probably going to do it again. Just pay the fine as long as you're willing to pay the fine. They can't really do much else. It's not actually illegal. It's not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I see the point. I think it's going to depend on what they say, because obviously the fight. I don't like this fight. I like the fight from the point of the 12 rounds that we watched when they fought the first time are potentially the best 12 rounds of boxing that I've ever watched. As a fight, best 12 rounds of a fight I've ever watched. live. But when you look at it from the perspective of one of them is still going up a stupid amount of weight and the other is cutting a stupid amount of weight, both of them in there were just as vulnerable as each other. The benefit Conor Benn had is that he was kind of fresh, but he's lugging around more weight than he should, fighting a guy way bigger than he should be. The benefit Eubank had was that he was bigger, but then also he was cut to a stupid amount. The good side is that Eubank's going to be doing this cut over the summer, which should help him. He should be able to get a little bit more weight off naturally. So he might not even need a sauna really, but it just feels dangerous. It might be all right actually because of that, because it is naturally hotter now. Cutting that weight shouldn't be as bad, but then it goes to then you have to look at Conor Benn, who's got to put the weight on, and that's potentially now going to be harder for him. So I don't know. I also just don't think this fight should happen from a point of Eubank Jr. could easily get a fight with Carlos Adames for the middleweight titles. And Conor Benn could fight. No, not Carlos Adames. Janabek, sorry. Carlos Adames isn't actually taking any fights at the moment for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And Conor Benn is mandatory for the winner of Pacquiao Barrios.
Yeah.
Or Conor Benn could probably go ahead and get himself someone else. So obviously not Brian Norman Jr., but there's other fights there.
I think the only person that is probably at risk once again is Eubank, because I think a loss for Conor Benn doesn't affect his ranking at welterweight. I'll tell you what will affect his ranking is doing too many of these fights at this weight and then having to cut again. It's going to be harder as he gets older. So, I mean, doing 2 fights, you're talking about you're nearly half a year to whatever it may be, being your natural weight and then putting weight on for a fight. You haven't actually had to lose weight to make the 147 or 154 limit, whatever it may be he's fighting. So I don't know what effect that will have on him long term, but it can't be good. I'm not a fan of this fight, guys. Let us know what you think, because we watched the first one, probably bought people watching boxing events that don't even watch boxing.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the dance looks good. Do you know what it is? I'm going to make a comparison, Connor. It's a Paolo comparison. Wait for Connor's either going to be baffled, he's going to look at me, or he'll understand it, yeah? This one here is like going to the dance. The first, it's a weekender dance. The first night's better than the second night. The first night is better than the second night. Okay. Come back on the second night. It's a bit more messy. There's a bit more about it. First night's fresh. Venue's fresh. There's no glass on the floor. You can't hurt yourself on this. You're there. Second night is the remnants of Friday. This is the second night.
Okay. Sure. I don't massively understand, but I kind of understand. I think I agree with you. Yeah. I don't like this fight. we will watch it because it's going to be amazing to watch, but I'm very wary that it's very risky again.
I might be getting dragged to this fight with my missus, by the way.
Go for it. If you can get there, brilliant. But either way, we'll be doing a preview in the week or whatever. Yeah. But we will. There's a good chance we're watching it, whether it's live or not. It's just you got to be wary of it because of the situation with the weight and how brutal the fight was.
But what we can say is for the shows that have live events, if we aren't doing a live on a Saturday night, what we can promise is a live on a Sunday.
Yeah, the day after show, which is actually quite good. It gives a bit of time to let things settle. But I think that is... Oh, no. There we go. Right. On the other topic of Eubank, can Catterall get back to winning ways? Jack Catterall against Harlem Eubank. Really tough fight.
Tough fight.
I think being overlooked by a lot of people. I'm not saying Jack Catterall is, but I've seen a lot of mainly top sport.
I don't think Harlem Eubank's been to this level, to be honest.
Agreed.
I don't think Harlem Eubank's fought the fighters that Catterall's fought.
Definitely not.
A lot more experience, but Harlem Eubank is quick, slick. So, this is his chance to prove if he's here. Is he better than his cousin? Can he do it at world level?
I mean, is this world level?
Because other than Uncle Eubank, the other Eubanks have struggled to get it. When it gets to that world level, there's like an omen on them too.
Yeah, true.
They didn't quite eclipse what their dad had done, dad or uncle. But, this is the thing. Catterall's been there. He's been in there with top fighters. So let's really, really talk about it. And by the way, can I just say, imagine the level of the American fighters at that level for what Barboza done to Catterall, then Barboza to go and lose against Tio the way he did, shows the level of first of all shows the level of American fighters at that weight, way above the UK. But second of all, Catterall's been in there with tough operators. He's been in there with big fight. Jorge Linares. Yeah. Learned a lot from that fight. Yes, he fought him towards the end of his career, but no one could really knock that guy out. That guy was a monster, just in terms of in the ring. Catterall's been in more experienced fights for me, but Eubank is at that crossroad now, whether he needs to prove himself. He needs to prove himself. So I think on boxing ability, I think Eubank probably holds some more advantages. He's quicker than Catterall. But Catterall's got experience. Takes him to deep water. He's in trouble. I need to see Harlem Eubank in deep water because I don't think he's been taken there yet.
No, he hasn't. I think Catterall will win. I don't even think it's necessarily an experience thing. I think the issue that Catterall's got is the elite Americans are all world class at something, and most of them at speed. And with that comes a bit more power, and a lot of them, I mean, their IQ's low. I don't think Harlem Eubank has got the power or the speed that will cause Catterall problems. I think this is going to be a bit of a chess match, and I do think, in terms of actual just boxing IQ, Catterall is world champion level.
Catterall's lost, been in fights where he's lost rounds before. He's been in those predicaments where he's losing rounds and he's pulled it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Has Harlem Eubank been there?
Not to the same. Well, not against the same people. Harlem looked good against Tyrone McKenna in his last fight, but it's Tyrone McKenna. McKenna's not been at a level that you kind of call. Well, it's not Catterall level. That he's never been Catterall level, but he's also not been at the best Tyrone McKenna level for a good time. So I don't see a way for Eubank. If we're talking about Eubank and he's got 19 knockouts on his record out of his 21 wins, then I'd probably favour him because he's young. Well, is he younger? He's 31, Eubank. He looks a bit younger than he is, but he's hungry at very least because he's still got a lot more of his career to go and see and fight for. But he's 9 knockouts out of his 21 wins. And the knockouts he's got are generally against guys that have already been knocked out a few times and their chins have been cracked. So
I agree.
I'm not convinced he's going to have massive... I don't think Eubank does anything especially well in comparison to Catterall. That's basically my point. But look, we could be wrong because maybe we're going to see Eubank step up a level, but I don't think so. It's a good card as well. It sees good mentions of Pat Brown's third fight. He's very active. Sky Nicholson's back out since she lost. She's at a new weight.
Yes.
And I imagine if she wins, we'll probably get straight into a world title fight in her next fight after this. And a massive debut for kind of Matchroom's. I wouldn't say they're putting all their hopes into him for the heavyweight division, but it looks like Johnny Fisher will kind of tap out around the European level. So Leo Atang debut. From what I'm hearing, we could expect the sort of Moses Italma debut level from this guy. That's what people are saying. But
I welcome it. Let's get more heavyweights into the division. Let's get more of these guys. Do you want to know, off topic as well, speaking of debuts, you know who else is debuting for soon on to Queensbury? Queensbury or Matchroom? Molly, the meatball from UFC.
Oh yeah, Matchroom. Yeah, meant to mention that in the weekly roundup. She has become a pro boxer from the UFC too. I mean, I think somebody captioned it UFC legend, which is
a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, a bit of a stretch, but yes, no, she's joined.
Matchroom. And I don't mean that in the most disrespectful way. Molly, she's a great fighter, but UFC legend in the sense of maybe a legend to some people, but I don't know if she's eclipsed that for.
I feel like legend. You have to.
Ronda Rousey's a UFC legend.
Yeah, to be a legend, you got to have a title, or you got to be like in some crazy fight.
Who's the Brazilian? The UFC fighter, the Brilliant. She was in it for years. Hang on.
Oh no, you mean what? Is it Pena? No. Pena? Juliana Pena? No. She.
Nunes.
Amanda Nunes. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a goat.
Yeah.
What she done. So yeah. But yeah, just thought I'd mention that because I know we forgot to mention that. I'm excited to see what she does.
She's got boxing pedigree. Like she's got it in her. Like she's done it. I imagine she'll be decent. She could pick a what? I don't know how heavy she is actually. But we'll see. I imagine she'll make her debut soon. There'll be no reason not to. She's not fought in the UFC for a while and all that stuff. But yeah, no. This weekend we've got a lot of good debuts. And watch out for Leo Tang if you can watch it. I know Nick is here. I don't, unfortunately, know what time it will start for you. Probably quite early in the morning. No, you'll be behind us, so probably might be a decent time. If you get a chance, watch Leo Tang. I've heard he is really the one to watch, and also Pat Brown. Pat Brown looks serious. So, that is boxing this week 55. I think that's absolutely everything covered. That was a lot to cover this week.
Approximately, you're looking at about 1 p.m. If it's 6, I think the card starts around 6 p.m. normally.
Yeah.
So Eastern time, that's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. They've also got Joe Cordino fighting back. We didn't mention that. That's my bad. And Leo Tang will be fourth fight. Fourth fight. So he'll be early. If you get the chance, watch him. I've heard good things. It's going to be a real shame if he can't punch. That's the biggest thing from the amateurs.
Yeah, highlights should be in 1080, unlike Wilder's fights. But I'm happy
we just don't even mention that. That's boxing this week 55. We will see you this weekend because we will be live watching one of the fights, potentially tomorrow night for Katie Taylor Serrano. We haven't actually decided, but we'll do a post on it on YouTube as well, so you'll know. And if not, you get the day after show anyway. And we'll see you next Thursday, guaranteed. So, thank you. Goodbye. Oh, subscribe. We've still got the giveaway. We've had a lot of subscribers recently, actually. It's been going very well. So thank you for that. But keep it going, please. And £50 Amazon giveaway at 500 subs. Yeah. Anything to say, Falo?
Dick Turpin wore a hat.
Sure.
Fury said, no, he's back.